Remington Steele, won't be seen tonight, so we can bring you a very special episode of The Gen X Files. Welcome to The Gen X Files. I'm Jim.
I'm Adam.
And today's show is all about
The Untouchables.
Doodle-dum. Doodle-dum, doodle-dum, doodle-dum.
Such a great score.
Boodle-dum.
And it's ironic considering they were called The Untouchables when half of them died.
Yeah, they were very touchable.
They were so touchable.
As the blood in the elevator said. Oh, man, that soundtrack is awesome. This movie, now, if you're looking for a historical recreation of Elliot Ness and Al Capone, this ain't the movie for you, baby.
This is not it.
But if you're looking for a fun Hollywood fable based on these characters.
Just a good mafia movie.
A great mafia movie.
A good versus evil movie.
Yes, and a good crime movie. A very hearkening back to the movies of the 40s and the 50s. All the style, the amazing costumes by Armani, the amazing score by Enrico Morricone, the great direction by Brian De Palma, where it works so well with this film, even though he ripped off a lot of it. I'm looking at you, Battleship Potemkin. And an amazing script. All came together, not for a biopic.
No.
But for a really great crime thriller.
No. It took the basis in reality and made it, and Hollywoodized it.
Yes.
And it made for an incredibly entertaining movie.
Look, when you're in court and you're on trial, your lawyer can't just automatically switch your plea from not guilty to guilty without asking you.
I'm also pretty sure that if you were to punch your attorney, you'd probably get arrested.
Well, that would be contempt of court, I think.
Well, it would definitely be assault.
Yeah, it would be. You know the battle of talk on the beach. You know the talk on the beach. You know the battle of talk on the beach. You know the talk on the beach. You know the battle of talk on the beach. You know nothing but a lot of talk and a badge. That's my favorite line. I mean, it's Perry Mason.
It's an action version.
Yes, it's Perry Mason courtroom drama. Yeah, it's not him, Your Honor. It's that guy in the galley sitting there twiddling his thumbs.
It's also amazing how wooden Kevin Costner is that he has a career.
Yes, he is a piece of driftwood that was plucked from the ocean.
I love Kevin Costner, and I'll watch him in anything, but man, that guy has a hard time emoting.
Well, look, Kevin Costner is the definition of earnestness.
Yes.
In acting. He's very earnest. He's got that look. He's always just kind of baffled at people being bad.
Right.
I don't understand. Why are you bad?
What?
And, it's just, he doesn't have a lot of intonation in his voice. He's very kind of the same. Even when he's mad in the same register as when he's happy.
Yeah, he doesn't. It's not a bad performance.
No.
It's just I really analyzed it this time, and it was really weird.
You need to see the film that put him on the map, which was Silverado, because Silverado is such a incredibly different performance than any other film he's ever given.
Well, we'll have to cover it at some point.
He's extremely charismatic. He's goofy. He's kind of silly and naive. And he's not very earnest.
And he got that all out of his system early.
Apparently, he only wanted to do it that once. And then he was like, I'm shutting down all emotions from here on out.
It just reminds me, I can't remember who it was, but somebody was talking about Tim Allen. They were working with Tim Allen, and it was an older actor. And Tim Allen had to stop. He was acting in something, and he stopped, and he was like, I can't do this anymore. I don't like how this is making me feel. And the older actor was like, oh, you mean you're actually acting?
That must have been scary for him.
Yeah, he was like, I'm feeling these things.
This is what acting is?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
Anyway. And definitely, Kevin Costner is obviously a better actor than Tim Allen.
Well, 100%. And look, he fits the roles he plays perfectly. I love the movie JFK. It is the greatest fiction.
Sure.
Fiction. It's like The Untouchables, right?
Sure.
It's a fictional fable account of, although Oliver Stone doesn't see it the same way as I do.
The problem is Oliver Stone tried to sell it as real.
Yes, but it is such a great movie. I used to watch it every year on the anniversary of JFK's death.
Yeah.
Weird.
Well, sometimes, you got to celebrate somehow, Jim.
And also the beginning of that movie with the drum, the brrrr,
Yeah.
That was how I would always use that and Jurassic Park to test out my new speakers.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It sounds.
Yeah.
It's such a great. Yeah. But he's so perfect. He makes that kook that he's playing.
Right.
I forget his name. Seem plausible.
Normal.
You know? Yeah. It just seemed like he's
believable.
Yes, it's a very believable farce.
Fast forward 30 years to now.
Anyway, Costner's great in that movie. And again, if you need somebody to give like a long, earnest monologue about justice or whatever, Costner's
he's
your
your go-to, yeah.
He's our Mr. Smith. He's our less charismatic Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's insulting to me.
But I think more importantly with the Untouchables and more relevant to our Connery month is that this was the movie that changed Connery's career, started his third act.
Connery and Costner.
Yeah.
And I will tell you this, and watching this movie again, and I've seen it a ton of times, but I haven't seen it in a while. Mm-hmm. And I always try to watch whatever movie we're doing in kind of a different way when we're doing it for the show to see if I can find anything new.
Sure.
And since we're doing the Connery month, I believe that Costner's star rose because of Connery. Connery made him a better actor.
For sure. Yeah.
And much more interesting. And Costner did a great job with him, reacting and being,
yeah. I mean, definitely Connery made Costner look better.
And it was such a good relationship. Yeah. And it was such an organic friendship.
And it was the mentorship, the please, even in the script, thus endeth the lesson, he was the guy that was teaching Costner how to be a cop. And Connery took that archetype and played it for most of the movies he did after this.
Oh, yeah. But he taught him how to be a Chicago cop.
Yes.
Because if you're going to... It's such the cool thing about it, what I really love about this movie is you have an idealized, starry-eyed hero who's very black and white.
Yeah.
Who's very... he's a crusader for truth and justice.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if drinking's right or wrong. It's illegal at this point, so it's wrong.
Following the law.
Exactly. And he's frustrated that being a Boy Scout isn't getting him anywhere.
Right.
So it takes Connery to teach him what it takes to be a Chicago cop.
Right. The grittiness, the putting aside your idealism.
If you want to, if you want to take down the monster, you got to become a bit of a monster yourself.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly. And it's one of the best depictions of the loss of innocence.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the mentor-mentee relationship.
Right.
In terms of facing what you wish reality was to what reality really is. Right.
Like learning the real, on paper, like this is how it should be, but on the street, that's not how it works.
Yeah, nobody. Yeah. Look, it's like, if you're going to play by the rules, you're going to get a bunch of parasols and you're going to get screwed because everybody knows you're coming.
Right.
Because you're going by the book, and there's so many corrupt officers.
You're literally telegraphing the fact that you're going to be there.
One of the greatest parts of the movie is when they first join up, the four of them, and they toss Charles Martin Smith the shotgun, and he's like, with his little pipe. God, I love him so much in this movie.
He's so good.
And he's like, let's go to the post office. And they're like, what? The post office? I mean, that is such the truth of it that you don't. It's so. The whole Prohibition era is so ridiculous because it was in the post office. It was in plain sight, Well, I'm sure there were speakeasies and stuff.
But it was the places you wouldn't expect.
Right.
It was like,
government places.
The post office isn't going to do that. Why would they be there?
Because it's a government agency. You'd think it would be safe.
You'd think so.
But no, and that's the that's the lesson. It's like you can't think like everything you learned in the academy doesn't matter.
Although I will say the script in the movie does support the fact of Costner's idealism in the fact that every cop in the movie that actually takes a drink dies in the movie.
Yes, even me.
Yeah. But it's such a good movie. It's such a good movie. This was the one I was most excited about watching again.
Yeah.
It's such a good movie. It's one of De Palma's best movies.
If not best. I mean, it's pretty close between this and Carrie.
I still have a soft spot for Carrie. So but it's great. God, it's such a good movie. It's just done so well.
It is a perfect movie. I can't think of anything I would change.
No.
It's not like it's not a perfectly historically accurate movie, but that's not the point, man. This is a Hollywood film. This is one of the last big Hollywood movies. It feels like it came from the 50s.
Yeah.
It has that big epic feel to it. The sets, the shots, everything's grandeur.
Huge, yeah.
And the performances and it is really unique in the fact that it's timeless.
Yeah.
And it is evergreen. It's never going to go out of style. And it's
so
just
good.
it's a confluence of so many different things coming together to make such a great movie.
We literally just watched it and talking about it now I want to watch it again.
Yes. Maybe I will.
All
Let's
right.
get into it.
There we go. Take yourself back to 1987.
Ooh.
March 10th, federal authorities report that they busted up a $1.5 billion cocaine smuggling ring, arresting 16 Pan American World Airways employees at John F. Kennedy International Airport after a year-long undercover operation.
Yeah, I was involved in that.
Oh. Were you?
I was one of the
dealing cocaine?
undercovers.
Oh, okay. You weren't one of them that got busted.
Yeah. But I was underage, so I got off.
Oh,
With a
nice.
slap
Okay.
on the
A
wrist.
little slap on the wristy. Yeah.
Slap on the nose.
April 29th, William Ciccone, a mentally ill Ozone Park, Queens resident, fired a shot at Gambino crime family boss John Gotti outside the Bergen Hunt and Fish Club. Ciccone was apprehended, taken to a Staten Island candy store, and tortured and murdered by associate Joe Watts. Former soldier Dominic Fat Dom Borghese testified that Watts fired 6 bullets into Ciccone's head.
If that wasn't a true story, I would say that is the most stereotypical Italian
I
mafia
know,
thing
I
I
know.
have ever heard in my life. He
Yeah.
shoots at the guy, and it takes him to a candy store. That is just so, like, out of a Scorsese movie.
Yes, that's so awful. So awful. And does 6 bullets, is that necessary?
Hey, look. He made his bed.
One in the head, two in the
head,
head,
two in the
you know
head.
they're dead.
2 in the head, you know they're dead.
6 and there's nothing left.
Take him to the candy store. Give him a couple of lollies before you shoot him in the head.
Oh, God. May 21st, Los Angeles crime family boss Peter John Milano and his brother underboss Carmen Flipper Milano. Not a good name for.
Well, he was really into dolphins.
but anyway,
Well, actually, he was a flipper baby, Adam. His mother,
just a few flipper babies.
his mother had what was that?
Thalidomide.
Thalidomide. He's a thalidomide baby.
Thalidomide. So anyway, they were indicted under the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, also known as the RICO Act, along with 13 other members by a federal grand jury and charged with drug trafficking, extortion, and other crimes.
You don't hear a lot about the Los Angeles Mafia.
No, although
Most of them moved to Vegas.
it's not the mafia isn't really here anymore. It's more like the Mexican mafia is still here.
And the Russian Mafia,
Yeah.
and the Chechnyan Mafia, and
Yeah.
the drug cartels and such, but none of the classic mafiosos.
No, not anymore.
After Bugsy Siegel left to go to Vegas, everybody followed.
June 3rd, The Untouchables is released in theaters. Good score. God, it's such a good score. That's pretty good. That was pretty good. So The Untouchables starts with Elliot Ness in his autobiographical memoir, co-written with Oscar Fraley, which was published in 1957.
Nice.
The book deals with the experiences of Ness, who was a federal agent in the Bureau of Prohibition as he fought crime in Chicago in the late 1920s and early 1930s with the help of a special team of agents handpicked for their incorruptibility, nicknamed The Untouchables.
The Untouchables.
The book would spawn a popular TV show also called The Untouchables that ran from 1959 to 1964, starring Robert Stack as Elliot Ness.
You might remember Robert Stack from Unsolved Mysteries.
Stack would win an Emmy for the show in 1960. The show was insanely successful and started a new slew of imitators in TV depicting a group of crime fighters, despite it being fairly violent for a TV show at the time.
Violence is cool if you're doing it to bad guys.
Well, that's just, it like showed a lot of like prostitutes and things that just weren't shown on TV at that point. Yeah. Unfortunately, Elliot Ness never saw the show or the release of his book, as he died in May of 1957, just a few months before publication. Unfortunately, he'd become a pretty bad alcoholic, which contributed to the heart attack that killed him at the age of 54.
Irony.
Yeah, he was a bad alcoholic.
Prohibition was Good for me.
Well, that's actually how the memoir got started. Was the guy came in and knew the bartender, and he was a writer, and he was trying to find things to write about. And the bartender was like, "Oh, go ask him. He has some stories." And it was Elliot Ness getting drunk at 10 a.m.
Why don't you go ask that drunk over there?
Yeah.
That piece of shit is Elliot Ness. What?
He took down Al Capone.
Yeah, now he's taking down his liver.
Ned Tannen spent years trying to obtain the right to Elliot Ness's life story while working as an executive at Universal Pictures in the 70s and the 80s. Tannen was an example of a good, quote-unquote, good studio executive, producing some of the most popular films in the 70s and 80s, including the two key Brat Pack films, The Breakfast Club and St. Elmo's Fire, as well as
Smokey and the Bandit, American Graffiti, Coal Miner's Daughter, The Deer Hunter, Crocodile Dundee, Top Gun, Animal House, and many, many others.
The character Biff Tannen in the Back to the Future films was named after Tannen.
Hey, guys. I just want to say, he's what we call a black sheep in the industry.
Yeah.
He is not like the rest of us. He is a outlier.
He actually has quality movies?
Yep.
Yeah.
We hate that. We hate movies that make people happy. That's the antithesis of us.
Well, thanks for stopping by.
Yep, whatever.
So why he was named after Biff Tannen was because Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis had met with Tannen during a script meeting for I Want to Hold Your Hand, where Tannen had reacted in aggressive fashion to the writing, accusing him of attempting to produce an anti-Semitic film.
You're trying to put an anti-Semitic film. There's nothing more anti-Semitic than the Beatles. They don't even spell it like Beatles. They spell it like B-A-T. Like, beat. Like beating the Jews.
Did you
anti-Semitic son of a
Did you
bitch.
just get that? I Want to Hold Your Hand was released in 1978 and stars the one and only Eddie Deason.
Eddie Deason.
Yeah.
'Tis the season for pleasing Eddie Deason.
I don't know, but it sounds like Neil Tannen was not a very good person. Very good as a producer. Apparently, he was went a little overboard sometimes.
Well, Eddie Deason was a very big anti-Semite. He was not. He wasn't.
God. Wow.
I was not. That's a lie.
Sorry, Eddie.
Those are lies.
After becoming
I love everyone.
After becoming head of motion picture productions at Paramount Pictures, which owned the film and television rights to Ness's memoir, The Untouchables, Tannen immediately hired Art Linson to begin producing a film adaptation.
Ooh.
Linson was a producer, screenwriter, and director. He wrote American Hot Wax in 1978 about pioneering DJ Art Freed.
It's a really good movie.
Yeah, he helped popularize rock and roll. He directed Where the Buffalo Roam in 1980, the semi-biographical comedy of Hunter S. Thompson starring Bill Murray.
Yeah, and the Peter Boyle.
Yes.
From one
Yes.
of the other movies this month.
From Outland.
From Outland.
In 1984, he directed The Wildlife, written by Cameron Crowe, starring
Chris Penn, Leah Thompson, Elin Mitchell-Smith, Jenny Wright, Eric Stoltz, Rick Moranis, Hart Bachner, and Randy Quaid.
Yeah, I've never seen The Wildlife. I don't know what.
It's good. It's fine. Chris Penn's really good in it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I love Chris Penn. He's great. Linson was not interested in adapting the ABC television series based on Ness's book and sought to create a more serious, authentic depiction of Ness's career in Chicago.
Yeah, we want him to be a drunk.
Yeah, serious and authentic, except that the movie's not that at all. But whatever. Linson hired playwright David Mamet to compose an original script for the film. David Mamet is a founding member of the Atlantic Theater Company of New York City. He co-founded it with William H. Macy and 30 of their acting students from New York University in 1985.
You're effing right, I did, you F. You effing effer. F you.
He swears a lot.
F.
He swears a lot.
F you.
Mamet first gained acclaim for a trio of off-Broadway plays in 1976, The Duck Variations, Sexual Perversity in Chicago, and American Buffalo.
I was in Sexual Perversity in Chicago,
Oh, yeah?
which was made into a movie called About Last Night.
Oh, was it? Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah, I didn't actually realize that David Mamet wrote it, and I was effing in it.
Nice. In 1984, he won the Pulitzer Prize and Tony Award for Best Play for Glengarry Glen Ross.
Oh, that's a good movie. A good play, too.
It's a great play. It's a great movie.
You know what's so funny about the movie adaptation about that, and I'm sure everybody knows this, but I'm going to say it anyway, is that in the play, there was no character that Alec Baldwin played.
Oh, right.
That was not part of the
play.
So that whole monologue and everything that is probably the most recognizable thing about that production had nothing to do with the play.
Well, I mean, Mamet still wrote it. It just should have written it for the play. Mamet's debut screenwriting feature was in 1981 with The Postman Always Rings Twice, starring Jack Nicholson and Jessica Lange.
Ooh, that was a steamer. People were really into that movie.
They were. It was the fourth adaptation of the 1934 novel, which I did not realize.
You know what freaked people out about that movie?
What's that?
What's really funny is there was a pretty graphic oral sex scene of Jack on Lang.
Oh, yeah?
That people had a little bit of problems with.
Yeah, it was, I think it was criticized a little bit for being a little too steamy. But, you know, it's 1981.
Yeah. It's the steamiest part of our history.
Yeah. His next film in 1982 was the adaptation of the 1980 novel The Verdict. It was directed by Sidney Lumet and starred Paul Newman. It was nominated for 5 Academy Awards.
Yeah, it's a good movie. Such a great... Have you seen The Verdict?
No.
Oh, my God.
No. I want to say maybe I did in college, but I don't remember.
We're going to have to do a Paul Newman courtroom month and do, because there's so many movies of him, like, either as a lawyer, as a defendant, or this or that.
Right.
There's some good ones.
The 5 Academy Awards it was nominated for were Best Picture, losing to Gandhi. Best Director, losing to Gandhi director Richard Attenborough. Best Actor in a Leading Role for Paul Newman, losing to Ben Kingsley for Gandhi. Best Actor in a Supporting Role for James Mason, losing to Louis Gossett Jr. for An Officer and a Gentleman.
That was very disappointing for me.
And Best Adapted Screenplay for Mamet, losing to Missing, written by Costa Gravis and Donald E. Stewart. Which I've never heard of this movie,
Missing, it's actually a pretty good movie. It's I think it's with Sissy Spacek, and it's about
right.
it was good.
Okay,
it's I don't know. I think Mamet was better, but whatever.
Yeah. Mamet would not write another screenplay until The Untouchables. Linson hired Brian De Palma to direct The Untouchables.
Nice.
De Palma was one of the new Hollywood directors, starting small in New York with some critically acclaimed films, and making some cult favorites like Sisters in 1972 and Phantom of the Paradise in 1974.
Starry Kiss.
Which I always forget that he directed Phantom of the Paradise, which honestly is one of my guiltiest pleasures ever.
I think he really wants everybody to forget that he directed.
I love that movie. It is not a good movie, but I love that movie so much.
Oh my God, everybody! I loved it too.
In 1976, he made Carrie, the adaptation of Stephen King's debut novel, which was a huge success and changed De Palma's career trajectory.
Yeah, I was in Carrie too. I was one of the bad guys put the blood up in the thing. Hey.
Okay.
Barbarino.
De Palma's bread and butter are suspense, psychological thrillers, and crime films. In 1983, he directed Scarface, written by Oliver Stone and starring Al Pacino.
Say hello to my little friend.
I totally forget all the time that De Palma directed Scarface as well.
I do not, because it is definitely a De Palma film.
But part of the reason is because I still have never seen Scarface.
Well, I can't wait to watch that with you. I really can't.
Scarface was criticized for the excessive violence, but did quite well at the box office. It became a cult classic.
Yeah.
In 1984, De Palma co-wrote and directed Body Double, starring Craig Wasson, Greg Henry, Melanie Griffith, and Deborah Shelton.
I remember when that movie came out. There was a lot of hype, and it was not that great.
The only name I recognize out of those 4 is Melanie Griffith.
Well,
I don't know the other 3 at all.
Craig Wasson was a pretty big star.
Quote-unquote star?
He starred in that. I think he starred in Ghost Story, which was a really cool movie that had a bunch of like John Houseman and a bunch of guys, the old guys that would tell ghost stories.
Oh, okay.
And I
think we've talked about this before. Yeah.
Another film that we'll probably end up covering. But he, at around this time, in the early 80s, was kind of, he was on his way to becoming a big star, and I don't know what happened to him.
I'll have to figure it out.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it on the Stepdad Show. The psychological thriller Body Double was De Palma's take on a Hitchcock movie, and it was a box office bomb.
I think everything that everybody talked about was like Melanie Griffith's nude scene or something.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody was really talking about the quality of the film. And it had that weird spaceship house in Los Angeles in it, with the tube and the...
Yeah.
That
that's used in like 8,000 movies.
Yeah, but I think this was the first
movie
one
to do it,
and it really like used it as a as a location.
Melanie Griffith did earn a Golden Globe nomination for the movie, and everything I read about it was that she was singled out as being great, but the movie was crap.
Well, Yeah, she wasn't that great.
I mean, yeah, she had a nude scene. I wonder why all the male critics thought it was great. In 1986, De Palma directed Wise Guys, starring Dan DeVito and Joe Piscopo.
Nope.
Jim's favorite movie of all time.
Joe Piscopo is one of my heartbreaks because I loved Joe Piscopo. I loved skinny, little, funny Joe Piscopo. He and Eddie Murphy were brilliant together on Saturday Night Live. They were like the pals. They were like the first, they were like the first Chris Farley and David Spade. They were like these, they did so much together on the show that you almost thought they were going to do movies and stuff together.
Right.
But then Joe Piscopo got all roided out and buffed out. And I'm sure, I mean, I'm not sure, and I don't want to get sued, but in my opinion, he must have used a lot of steroids because his personality changed 100% too. Right. And he was not funny anymore. Right. He was just big and loud and dumb, and he had these big, veiny arms.
I mean, testosterone, like, it can change you. I mean, look at, Chris Pratt. Like, he was much funnier when he was the schlubby guy, and he got all buffed out, and then it's like he's just not funny anymore.
No, that's why I had every ounce of testosterone removed from my body.
Replace it with microplastics?
Microplastics and estrogen. I'm just really sad.
It's so funny because every time Joe Piscopo comes up, and it must have been the first thing I saw him in, was Johnny Dangerously.
Yeah.
And it's the scene, it's always the callback at the end of the movie where they open the closet up and he's still hanging in the closet. Like, that's literally the first thing I think of every time I hear Joe Piscopo.
And he was good in that because he was still
skinny
funny. Joe.
He was funny. So Wise Guys was a black comedy crime thriller and did even worse at the box office than Body Double. At this point, De Palma needed another hit like Carrie to maintain his star director status.
Yeah, he is a tale of up and then down.
Way down.
Then, people really wanted to give him a shot.
Yeah.
Because he's a talented cat, and you could see. It's just, he needs another rider. He needs, it really depends on.
Oh, yeah.
Because he can go astray
very easily.
I think he's got attention deficit disorder.
That would not surprise me. So most of Mamet's screenplay was used, but director Brian De Palma slightly rewrote some scenes during production in order to incorporate new locations. For instance, the scene paying homage to the Potemkin stairs from the communist silent film Battleship Potemkin was moved from a hospital to Chicago Union Station.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. De Palma would play down his contributions to the script, saying,
"Being a writer myself, I don't like to take credit for things I didn't do. I didn't develop this script. David Mamet used some of my ideas, and he didn't use some of them. I looked upon it more clinically as a piece of material that has to be shaped with certain scenes here and there."
It's like De Palma's in the room.
Listen to De Palma.
I know.
I honestly don't think I've heard him.
I don't think I have either. But that is scarily accurate.
All right, everybody.
How would you take him seriously when he's directing?
Listen to me, Adam. I need you to be a little bit more serious in this part.
Not laugh.
Why are you laughing at me?
I'm not.
What's so funny?
You're very good.
This is a very serious movie, Adam. Why are you laughing at me? Action! Cut!
So they cast Kevin Costner as Elliot Ness. Linson and De Palma wanted to have a more tender portrayal of Ness than Robert Stack's tough portrayal from the 1950s television series, seeking to portray Ness as a vulnerable family man.
Yeah, that's a great idea because the thing about this movie that's so cool is it's almost like two movies. You see his home life, the lighting is just beautiful. It's shot like a commercial from the 40s or 50s.
Yeah.
It's just very bright and sunny.
Yeah.
His wife is just this literally glowing symbol of pureness and with her baby and about to have a. Did they have a? They had a kid and about to have a kid.
Yeah,
they had a daughter and a daughter, right?
Yeah,
and then she gave birth to John James. But it was so brilliant the way he portrayed him away from crime as just this oasis, this haven of.
He was pure.
God.
That's what he was fighting for.
Exactly.
Which is why the scene when he came out and Billy Drago sitting outside his house, he's just like, oh my God, like they know where I live. Like this is.
It's a nice family you got there.
That's really eerily accurate.
Me a shame if anything happened to him.
Oh my God.
What are you talking about?
The other irony of this, and we'll talk about it later, is that the portrayal of his family life was completely fiction.
Yeah, he got divorced a bunch of times. But that's the thing. It's like
But that's why this is a great Hollywood movie.
This is a crime fable.
Yeah, I know.
know,
You
and that's
have to have the good, because if it literally depicted him as being the schlubby guy who did nothing but work 20 hours a day, nobody would want to watch that.
Nobody wants to see a loser alcoholic.
Well, he wasn't an alcoholic yet.
Oh.
He started drinking after.
Well.
Yeah.
I mean, look. It's okay. We're making movies, man. And I think that's what people forget sometimes.
I know.
That movies, if you look at the movies from the 40s, the 30s, this is a definite homage to.
Yeah.
Those movies are all BS, man.
Of
Any
course.
epic, any biopic had no semblance to reality.
I mean, look at TV sitcoms in the 50s. The Perfect Family. That ruined so many families because people thought they had to be perfect.
What are the 10 Commandments, for Christ's sake, man? I mean, come on. Look, it's just, if you're looking for some sort of gritty, realistic, documentary-style biopic, go someplace else.
It would be boring. Trying to do things as they actually happened would be boring.
This is a love letter to old-time Hollywood. This is a love letter to Hollywood's heyday and to the big tales of good versus evil back in the day. And it is a beautiful depiction of that.
It is. It really is. De Palma initially wanted Don Johnson to portray Elliot Ness, who would have been perfect.
He would have been amazing.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Mickey Rourke, Jeff Bridges, William Hurt, Harrison Ford, and Michael Douglas also turned down the role.
Harrison Ford would have been perfect.
Harrison Ford would have been all of them. All of those would have been good.
Mickey Rourke would have been a little bit. I don't know. I like it. Look, this was back when he was in his heyday.
Yeah.
But he's just Mickey Rourke to play him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mel Gibson was interested in playing Ness, but had already committed to Lethal Weapon.
Oh, good, because I'm glad.
Lethal Weapon, yes.
Roger.
We got both good movies, yeah.
We've got to get Capone. We're gonna get him. We're gonna get him, Roger. They gotta take him down. They killed her. They killed her, Roger.
A 1985 issue of Variety announced the casting of Jack Nicholson as Ness, but he was ultimately replaced by Kevin Costner.
We gotta get him the Chicago way.
Yeah. It took a while for Costner's career to take off, languishing in small parts for most of the late 70s and early 80s.
As much as I love Jack Nicholson, he's not earnest enough to play this. He's just too cool.
Yeah. I don't think he would have been good in the part.
And this was kind of when he was, becoming a bit of a caricature of himself, This is a little bit before Witches of Eastwick and Batman.
Yeah.
It's about when he had his renaissance and his resurgence. But, more so as kind of a
cartoonish character actor.
Yeah, thank you.
Costner was cast in The Big Chill, released in 1983, and filmed several scenes that were planned as flashbacks, but they were removed from the final cut.
Hey, Mom. Hi, it's me. It's Kevin. How you doing? No, I'm very emotional. Why do you ask? Anyway, yeah, I'm really excited. I'm in this really big movie. They're projecting it's going to be huge. It's called The Big Chill. Basically, it's all about me and what my character does. I'm basically the lead, so I can't wait for you to see it. Bling. Hey, honey, I watched the movie and I didn't see... Shut up, Mom. Just shut up.
His role was that of Alex, the friend who committed suicide, the event that brings the rest of the cast together. Costner was a friend of director Lawrence Kasdan, who promised the actor a role in a future project, and that project became Silverado in 1985 in a breakout role for Kevin Costner.
I promise you I'll give you another role. I think that's what he sounds like. Kasdan kind of sounds like this.
Yeah.
He does.
No, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, and look, we've talked about this. I can't wait for you to watch this.
Yeah.
Silverado is one of my favorite Westerns, and you know me. I love them Westerns, but it's got the greatest cast. It has Kevin Kline and John Cleese and Rebecca De Mornay and Danny Glover and a billion more people. Kevin Costner.
Isn't Kevin Bacon in that? No. Who am I thinking of? Somebody else.
I don't know if Kevin Bacon ever did a Western.
Tremors?
I mean, traditional Western.
Please listen to our Tremors episode.
But yeah, you're going to really like Silverado.
We need to do a Western month and do some of the bigger Westerns from the
more offbeat Westerns, because this is an offbeat Western. It has its own style. It's like a neo-Western.
Okay.
Almost comedy, but not. It's
like
got
Harley Davidson, the Marlboro Man?
No. Because it's actually a good movie.
So in 1987, Costner appeared in 2 movies. No Way Out, a neo-noir action thriller directed by Roger Donaldson, starring Gene Hackman, Will Patton, and Sean Young.
Really good. Will Patton, this made me fall in love with Will Patton as an actor.
He's such a good actor.
Well, this is one of the greatest performances he's ever given. Okay. He is so
I don't think
hateable.
I've ever seen this.
Oh, it's great. It's really great. And it's got so many twists and turns in it. And it's very Hitchcockian. And it's very 80s. Very 80s.
Yeah.
But it's a very cool thriller that kind of went under the radar for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's also one of Costner's better acting roles.
Right.
Because it's a very layered performance that he has to do.
I'll have to check it out. The movie was critically acclaimed as ingenious and put Costner on the map. The other movie he was in 1987 was The Untouchables, which became his huge breakout role, making him a bona fide movie star.
I just want that in my life when I'm walking down the street. I think I'm going to buy the soundtrack and just play like I'm getting on the bus. It just adds a...
Staring at people.
Yeah.
It's like, who has guns?
Who's drinking?
Yeah.
Who's going to get busted?
In preparing for his role as Elliot Ness, Kevin Costner met with former FBI agent and untouchable Al Wallpaper Wolf at his home in Lincolnwood for historical context and to learn about Ness's mannerisms. Wolf was the last surviving member of the Untouchables.
Hey, hi, I'm Kevin Costner. I was just wondering, what kind of mannerisms did Elliot Ness have? I don't know. I'm 112 years old, you idiot.
Costner would parlay the success of The Untouchables into cementing his Hollywood career. He would win 2 Academy Awards for his 1991 film Dances with Wolves, in which he produced, directed, and starred.
You know what movie doesn't hold up?
Yeah. I haven't seen it in a long, long time.
I haven't either, but I also did not like it. Full disclosure, I was not a fan of Dances with Wolves, mainly because Mary McDonnell ruined, I think that's her name.
Yeah, I think so.
Kicking Bird. Bird.
He won Best Picture and Best Director, but lost Best Actor to Jeremy Irons.
Irons?
Yeah. Jeremy Irons for Reversal of Fortune, which I just find really ironic that Kevin Costner has won 2 Academy Awards, but none for acting.
Well, if there's a woodworking championship, he'll get the award. Jeremy Irons was ridiculously good in Reversal of Fortune, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, Jeremy Irons is ridiculously good.
Kevin Costner is effective as an actor, and I look at him as like a working class actor. Like you can see the wheels turning,
right?
And he seems very like everything is kind of plotted and planned out, which is fine.
Yeah.
But he's not very spontaneous.
No.
And he has one emotion that can dip a bit and can rise a bit, but it always stays within that pool.
He always looks like he's just thinking real hard.
Or he's just really frustrated.
Yeah.
He's good at frustration, and he's good at pensiveness.
So pensive. Costner can most recently be seen in Yellowstone and the upcoming 2-part epic Western Horizon an American Saga, Part 1 and 2, producing, co-writing, directing, and starring. He actually plans on shooting 2 more movies before completing his epic saga. The first part comes out in the fall of 2024 and is over 3 hours long. It's set during the Civil War, and it's about the way it might be good.
Well, from what I've read, not.
I said might.
I hope so. I doubt it. He's been... Open Range is a great movie.
12 hours of this saga.
I don't know if he directed it. Did he direct
Open Range? I don't think so.
I don't think so. But that's a great movie. He does Westerns really well. I never watched Yellowstone. I will watch it when I get to be in my 60s and 70s because it's required viewing for white men of a certain age.
When you only get CBS on your TV.
Yes, when I get the letter from the government saying you can only watch CBS and you have to start watching Yellowstone.
We've installed your senior censorship button and all you get is CBS.
And what's that? And Taylor
Fox
Sheridan
News.
shows.
Charles Martin Smith was cast as Oscar Wallace. Smith was discovered by a talent agent while acting in a school play, Man of La Mancha, at Grover Cleveland High School in Reseda.
Creepy, by the way. Creepy. I don't know. Being a talent scout.
I was like, what? Creepy what? Oh, no, you're right. You're right.
Oh.
Scout in the high school.
Well, that little nerdy guy looks like something special.
Better give him a role in something.
Charles Martin Smooch.
Not Charles Foster Kane, as I kept calling him.
Yeah, that's from Citizen Kane.
Yeah. After a few years of working in film and television, he landed the role of Terry the Toad Fields in George Lucas's 1973 film American Graffiti.
So good in that.
Yeah, he reprised the role in the film's 1979 sequel, More American Graffiti. In 1975, Charles Martin Smith auditioned for the role of Luke Skywalker. Would have been a much different movie.
Hey, who's the nerd? Hey, Four Eyes. Oh my goodness. Oh, I got the Force in me.
He played a bandmate of Buddy Holly in the Buddy Holly story in 1978.
I'm not getting on that plane. That was his big line.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not getting on it.
Smith devoted almost 3 years to filming Never Cry Wolf, adapted from a memoir by environmentalist Farley Mowat. Smith said,
I was much more closely involved in that picture than I had been in any other film. Not only acting, but writing and the whole creative process.
He also found the process difficult.
During much of the 2-year shooting schedule in Canada's Yukon and Nome, Alaska, I was the only actor present. It was the loneliest film I ever worked on.
I've never seen this movie. So.
It is really good. I remember when it came out, it was hugely critically praised.
Yeah, yeah.
There's this scene, the most famous scene in the movie is Charles Martin Smith running naked.
Oh God!
With a bunch of effing wolves.
Oh
it's
wow!
It's crazy. He was a guy too that his talent surpassed his limitations, which meant he was able to be a leading man.
Right.
You know, and look, nothing against him, but he's not a typical leading man.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's always, I love it when great actors transcend Hollywood BS and get to star in movies and do a great job. It's just, I think he probably just got fed up after, I would say probably after, the Wolf movie. That probably was just like, well, what's the point?
Right.
And working so hard.
Yeah. During the filming, he became so enamored of the Northwest that he decided to relocate to Vancouver, where he has resided since the mid-'80s.
Nice.
Still lives there today.
Okay.
The character of Oscar Wallace, who Smith plays in The Untouchables, was loosely based on Frank Wilson, the IRS agent who worked to indict Capone for income tax evasion.
Nice.
Wilson had been working on this project since 1928 and had next to nothing to do with Ness and The Untouchables in real life. Wilson was not killed by Capone, though Capone reportedly placed a contract on his life, which was never carried out.
No.
Yeah, well, I mean, because he lived.
Yeah, poor Capone.
It was such a great scene in the movie, though. I mean,
it was heartbreaking.
So messed up.
And it's again, this shows De Palma is so good at suspense.
Yeah.
You know what's going to happen. As soon as you see Billy Drago, you're like, oh, it's going to be brutal.
Yeah.
And then you got Costner and Connery with their cigars, walking around all like, hooty doody, we won, didn't we?
Hooty doody.
And then it's like, my favorite is, where are they? They're in the service elevator. Costner kind of turns like he's going to, and he's like, whatever.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, and then they keep
We'll
going.
meet him downstairs. Yeah.
They did meet him downstairs for the last time.
Since the mid-1990s, Smith has increasingly focused on his work behind the camera, both as a writer and director. His first film as director was the camp horror story Trick or Treat in 1986 for Dino De Laurentiis, in which he also appeared.
That was a fun little horror movie.
I don't know if I've seen that.
Yeah.
Trick or Treat from 86?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's another Trick or Treat movie.
The new one, Trick or Treat.
Yeah.
Not Trick or Treat. In 1992, he directed and acted in 50-50, a movie filmed in Malaysia, which also starred Robert Hayes and Peter Weller.
Okay.
He directed the pilot episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, titled Welcome to the Hellmouth, that launched a TV series in 1997.
Nice.
Did not know that.
Didn't I?
Fun fact.
Didn't know it either.
He next directed the film Air Bud in 1997.
Okay.
He went from Buffy the Vampire Slayer to Air Bud.
I'm a huge Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan. I love the show. I love Angel. I love them both. Air Bud, not so much.
He most recently directed A Gift from Bob in 2020. He does not act at all anymore.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
and
that's sad.
A gift from Bob looked pretty terrible, to be honest.
Well, he's still working, and that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. He's doing his thing.
Yeah. I mean, look, not everybody's going to be Scorsese.
No.
Somebody needs to direct the Air Buds.
And the kids got to watch something.
Yes.
Andy Garcia was cast as Giuseppe Petri, a.k.a. George Stone.
To protect the property and to serve the people.
Garcia was born in Cuba in 1956.
Cuba!
Did not realize that he was Cuban. When he was 5 years old, his family moved to Miami, Florida after the failed 1961 Bay of Pigs invasion.
Yeah, it was his fault that it failed.
Wow.
That's why
that
they had
failed?
to move, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because Andy Garcia blew it for everybody. Hey, I'm really sorry, guys.
Or fall back on acting.
Lo siento. That's what he said. He's
Right. Over the next several years, Garcia's parents, his mother, a former English teacher, and his father, a former attorney, built up a perfume fragrance company that ended up being worth millions of dollars.
great example of the American dream.
Exactly. Immigrant story. It's great.
Yeah, this is what immigrants do.
Yeah.
They come in, they start businesses, they create wealth for their family, and they start new generations of people living
Yes.
here.
Despite what you've been told,
Yes.
immigrants make the country better.
They do.
In high school, Andy Garcia was a star basketball player, but during his senior year, he came down with mono and decided to get into acting. Yet another athlete that is like,
Look, this seems dubious to me because A, that little guy probably wasn't the greatest basketball player, but he was probably a good high school player. He wasn't going to go playing in college.
no.
He got my friend got mono, and he was a basketball player, but he didn't go into acting.
Well,
That's too bad.
he should have.
No. But but yeah, I mean, okay. Like once again,
Another failed athlete turned actor.
there needs to be a support group for these guys.
There really does. Garcia began acting at Florida International University, but soon went to Hollywood. He had a short role alongside Angela Lansbury in the first episode of Murder, She Wrote as First White Tough in 1984.
Who's that one? I'm the white tough. Number one white tough.
The first white tough.
First white tough.
He played the role of a gang member in the first episode of TV series Hill Street Blues.
Yeah.
Keeps appearing in all these pilots.
Well, back then, if you were ethnic looking, you were a criminal.
You could play any ethnicity.
As long as it was a criminal.
He appeared in a supporting role in The Mean season in 1985 alongside Kurt Russell.
That's a good movie, too.
I've never seen it. Much like Costner, The Untouchables was Garcia's biggest movie and launched his career as a leading man. He co-starred with Michael Douglas in Ridley Scott's Black Rain in 1989.
Yeah, baby. Hey, baby. They called each other baby. I love that movie. It is such a guilty pleasure of mine.
Yeah, it apparently was did very well at the box office, but the critics were not very kind.
Oh, Andy Garcia does not do too good in that movie. I mean, his character.
Yeah.
Oof, he does not. He does not
bad
have a
guy.
good time in that movie.
In 1990, he appeared in Internal Affairs with Richard Gere.
Another really good movie. That movie was talked about then because Richard Gere was playing a really dirty cop.
Right.
And it was good, and Gere was really good, but Garcia I think was a little bit better because he had kind of the thankless part of being the other guy.
Right. Also, in 1990, he was in Show of Force, co-starring Amy Irving, Lou Diamond Phillips, and Robert Duvall. It was a very small movie.
I probably saw it. I don't remember it.
And also in 1990, he was in The Godfather Part 3 as Sonny Corleone's illegitimate son. The part earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor, but he lost to Joe Pesci for Goodfellas.
Yeah, rightly so.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
You know who was great in that movie? It was Sofia Coppola. Oh my God, Sonny is dead. What are we going to do about the Corleone family?
Did she take lessons from Kevin Costner? So Garcia's had a very long career. We'll talk more about him in a future episode.
Although you are right that Sofia Coppola and Kevin Costner came from the same tree.
Yes, they definitely
they were
did.
cut from the same tree.
Cut from the same tree.
She is a really great director, though. And
made the smart move to get behind the camera.
kudos to her, too, for I don't want to be in this part. You're making me do it.
Right.
And now you know why I didn't want to do it.
I'm
never doing it
poorly
again.
as possible.
Yeah. I mean, I think she's very self-aware. And that was very unfair because she had to step into the last minute because Winona Ryder dropped out.
Right.
And it's not her fault. And
Yeah.
she took so much S for that.
Oh, she
movie.
did. She was like 13 or whatever.
And it's not her fault.
No.
It's her stupid father's
It
fault.
was her father, yeah.
You're gonna do it, goddammit! You're gonna do it! No, Daddy, no!
This is a family thing.
I'll have another heart attack. I'll swear to God. I'll kill you and your mother.
So Garcia's had a very long career. We'll talk about him more in a future episode, a movie that he's actually starring in. He most recently acted in What About Love, co-starring Sharon Stone, and he provided a voice in an episode of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, the animated Marvel show.
That keeps coming up with a lot of big names doing voices for it.
I don't even know what streaming service it's on. I think it might be on Hulu.
Really? Wouldn't it be Disney if it's Marvel?
Yeah, but they had that MODOK show too. Like there was a couple of like animated things that were on Hulu.
I gotta check it out.
I don't know. Robert De Niro was cast as Al Capone. De Niro was De Palma's first choice to play Al Capone, but it was uncertain if he would appear in the film because of his appearance in the Broadway play Cuba and His Teddy Bear.
Hey, I'm from Cuba. Yeah, I know. I know.
I can see your teddy bear.
I can see a teddy bear. I can see a teddy bear.
He also wanted to gain about 30 pounds to play Capone. According to De Palma, De Niro was
Very concerned about the shape of his face for the part.
I'm so sorry, Brian De Palma.
Why are you laughing at me? I'm just telling what he was doing. I don't see what's so funny about what I'm saying.
You're right. It's not funny. I'm sorry. So De Palma met with Bob Hoskins to discuss the role in case De Niro could not appear. When De Niro took the part, De Palma mailed Hoskins a check for £20,000 with a thank you note, which prompted Hoskins to call up De Palma and ask him if there were any more films he didn't want him to be in.
I got any more films you don't want me to be in? Eh?
It's such a
I'm doing Roger Rabbit.
It's such a great story, and it really shows that De Palma's a good dude.
Yes, and Hoskins is hilarious.
Hoskins is. He is. I think he's one of the most underrated actors.
Oh, my God.
He is so good all the time.
Oh, my God. Definitely. He would have been so good as Capone. I'm sorry to De Niro, but he would have been so much better as Capone because he looks like him.
Yeah, he wouldn't have. I
was
love
ham
De
and
Niro
cheese.
and I love Capone, and he does it well in this movie, but it was so over the top.
Well, that's the thing. I think that's the movie. I mean, if you're playing good versus evil, you need a big bad guy.
Yeah,
you know,
you got to make it obvious that he's
But I think Hoskins, we've seen him play gangsters.
Yeah,
and his quiet intensity is unparalleled. And he would have been a frightening Capone.
Yeah.
I wasn't afraid of De Niro's Capone. You know, he was a guy. You know, he was a
tough guy.
He was a tough guy, and he was scary. But he was like a cartoon.
Yeah.
Hoskins would have just ate everybody's lunch, man.
Oh yeah. Gene Hackman and Marlon Brando were also considered as options in case both De Niro and Hoskins proved unable to perform the role.
As much as I love Hackman, I can't see it.
Yeah, I don't think he's right for that part, and I'm sure that's why Hackman was like, yeah, no.
I mean, he probably would have been great, but it just, I can't see it.
Yeah. Brando actually refused $5 million for 2 weeks' work as Al Capone during early casting.
I'm not gonna take your $5 million. I got a lot of sandwiches I need to eat over the next couple of weeks. I can't make it. I eat a lot of sandwiches now.
Oh my God, I saw a picture. Apparently there's a Brando like biopic or Brando's in a movie, but Billy Zane was cast as him.
Yeah.
And oh my God, he looks just like him.
I heard about
it was
that.
so creepy.
Oh yeah, his face is very similar to a young
was,
Brando. Yeah,
I kept thinking like, no, that's Brando, and then I had to look at it closer and was like, no, that actually is Billy Zane.
It's
like,
crazy when you really
nuts.
think about it, how much they really look alike.
Oh my God. So De Niro didn't have the time to gain the extra weight needed for the role, so he had to wear pads and pillows for the desired effect of looking like the chunkier Alphonse Capone.
I don't like it. I like really fat. I like being fat. I like having fat.
He's such a method actor.
I gotta do the method.
Yeah.
Gotta do the method.
De Palma and De Niro actually previously collaborated on a bunch of movies, like Greetings in 1968, The Wedding Party in 69, and Hi Mom in 1970. The Untouchables would be the last time they worked together. For whatever reason, they stopped working together after 87.
Because he's nothing but a lot of talking to beach. He's nothing but a lot of talking to beach. Nothing but a lot of talking to beach.
I literally have to decipher what you're saying every time, even though you literally just said it.
You have to decipher the way he says it, too.
No, but that's what I mean. It's like my brain does not comprehend that you're saying those words.
He's nothing but a lot of talking to page. He said that probably 1,000 times.
He did.
By the end of the movie, he's just repeating it faster and faster. Nothing but a lot of talking to page. What?
De Niro did a few things to uphold his method actor reputation. He tracked down Al Capone's original tailors and had them make some identical clothing for the movie.
Okay, that's cool.
They also used some of Capone's shaving apparatuses for De Niro's introduction in the movie. The brush and stuff they used, and I believe the straight razor was Capone's. De Niro also insisted on wearing the same style of silk underwear that Al Capone wore, even though it would never be seen on camera.
Yeah, but that's one of those actor things.
Yeah, the producers, they just went with it.
It's just, what are you going to do? Whatever. It's like cheaper to buy the underwear than to try to
argue
with De Niro.
Yeah. In addition to appearing in The Untouchables in 1987, he was cast as Louis Cypher in Alan Parker's horror Angel Heart, an adaptation of William Hjortsberg's 1978 novel Falling Angel.
The dumbest thing about that movie, and I really like that movie, was it took them the entire movie to decipher Louis Cypher is friggin' Lucifer. You're an idiot if you didn't see it. Holy moly, wait a minute.
Wait.
Louis Cypher. Oh my God. Cracking that egg, cut your nails.
Both parts were considered small by the media, with critics wondering why he would take these smaller roles.
Critics are idiots because he wants to do good work.
Oh, it gets worse. While Pauline Kael opined that De Niro was lazy for undertaking small roles.
What?
De Palma defended him by saying he was
experimenting with those characters.
Yeah, Pauline Kael, I can't believe you're getting work and they consider you to be lazy.
Well, the performances definitely weren't lazy.
Exactly.
They were really good.
Yeah, that's just, man.
Well, De Niro never cared about the size of the role.
No,
he just wanted to play something interesting.
He liked the parts. Like, Capone was appealing. Like, he wanted to play Capone.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, yeah.
Same with playing Louis Cypher.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, De Niro would head back into leading parts in 1988 with Midnight Run.
Oh, listen to our Midnight Run show.
Yeah, it's such a good movie. De Niro has been nominated for 9 Academy Awards. One for Best Picture, The Irishman in 2019.
Because he was producer.
Yes. 3 times for Best Supporting Actor, winning for The Godfather Part 2 in 1974. And 5 times for Best Actor, winning in 1980 for Raging Bull.
You effing my wife? You effing my wife? You effing my wife? I'm asking you, effing my wife?
No.
I think you are. This steak is rotten.
I did not realize he had been nominated 8 times for acting Oscars.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, he's a phenomenal
Did you ever watch
actor.
The Irishman?
No.
I haven't seen it either. I need to watch it.
Yeah. De Niro will be seen in the upcoming Netflix miniseries 0 Day, co-starring with Lizzie Kaplan.
Okay, what's that about?
It's a political thriller. I don't. Beyond that, I don't know.
0 Day. Maybe it's about, like, the beginning of the end of the world.
That's what I thought, but it's coming out sometime in 2024.
All right.
He'll also be in the film Alto Nights, written by Nicholas Pileggi, who wrote Goodfellas, and directed by Barry Levinson.
Okay, I'm into that.
In the film, he's playing the dual roles of mob bosses Vito Genovese and Frank Costello.
I'm 2 bosses this time. And I think it's Nick Pileggi.
I think you're right. I realized that after I said it.
That's okay. He forgives you.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, but so the deal is that these mob bosses are in the 50s, and apparently one of them puts a hit on the other, but it fails, and then the guy's like, I need to retire. But he's literally playing both parts.
I don't know about that.
It's weird. I'm curious.
I'm curious too, but look, I'm not going to say he's lost a step because he was great in. I always get the name wrong. Flowers of the Dusty Moon or whatever. Roses of the Flowers
I haven't seen that one yet either. Killers of the Flower Moon.
Thank you. He was really good in that. I mean, when he is not playing dirty grandpa or something that's completely beneath him, he's still really great.
Can you milk me, Greg? Can you milk me?
I got nibbles. Can you milk me? But that's funny. I mean,
yeah, he was funny in that.
But that, like,
but no, but the stuff that it's like obvious filler. It's like, all right, you got to pay for the kid you just had when you're 78.
Oh, jeez. Can I do another grandpa movie? I got 2 babies coming. He's like the Nick Cannon of the geriatric
God, he
set.
just doesn't stop having children.
Just stop, man.
You're old. You're not even gonna see your kid become a teenager.
That's the thing. Well, the good news is your dad is Robert De Niro. The bad news is he was 82 when he had you. I can't wait to watch him go to college from hell.
I can't imagine you banging an old man, Mom.
Oh, that's the other thing. All these old guys. Pacino had one too.
Yeah.
And look, at least De Niro.
Imagine Pacino being a father.
Let me get on top of you. I just also can't imagine that thing. He's just so. I love Pacino.
I love Pacino,
but man, old Pacino is a creep. He's a bit of a creep.
He's weird. Very weird. Sean Connery was cast as Jim Malone. Fresh off his BAFTA win for The Name of the Rose, Connery's career took an interesting turn for his third act.
Yes.
He would start being cast in a mentor-type role. Connery seemed to relish this new take on his career, turning in some amazing performances.
Oh, yeah.
The Untouchables was the first of these mentor role movies. It was followed by The Presidio in 1988 and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade in 1989.
Also Finding Forrester, The Rock, Rising Sun. Oh, and even like Dragonheart was kind of, where's the dragon?
Yeah.
Teach you how to be a knight. But yeah, everything
I
was
prefer
him.
the sequel, Pragatat.
Pragatat. Who's the man now, dog? But yeah, I mean, everything was him.
He was great. I mean, he was great.
Presidio is a big guilty pleasure of mine.
I've never seen it. I never see that.
It's got one of the greatest Sean Connery scenes. So Sean Connery, Mark Harmon is like a prosecutor, a lawyer, or a detective or something, and he's dating Sean Connery's daughter, who is Meg Ryan.
Oh, okay.
And one of Meg Ryan's first kind of like
bigger parts.
Well, more dramatic parts.
Oh, dramatic parts. Okay.
But there's this scene in this bar where these bullies are coming up to him, and he's like, "I'm going to take you down with just my thumb," and he ends up beating these guys with just using his thumb.
Oh, wow.
And it's just like, see this thumb? It's going to take you out. It's crazy. It's not a great movie, but it's a fun guilty pleasure.
All right.
And I got a soft spot for Mark Harmon.
Oh, yeah. Oh, same. Ever since summer school.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever. Mark Harmon, he's great. It was actually Connery's idea to film the blood oath scene between Ness and Malone in a Catholic church.
Let's do it in the church. It'll really piss off those Catholics.
Originally, it was going to take place on the street in the same scene that follows the church scene. Connery felt that the church would be the only safe place in Chicago where the two characters could make such a commitment to fight Capone.
Plus, at my age, I like doing scenes sitting down.
In one shooting day, Connery turned up to shoot in his golf clothes. They did a close-up and he was dismissed for the day. Andy Garcia and Charles Martin Smith grabbed him after the scene and said that was...
Very clever of you. You just got back from golf, turn up for 5 minutes, and you do your scene, and that's it.
Connery turned to them and said,
"This is not my first barbecue. Look, I know most people say rodeo, but I say barbecue because I love barbecue. Texas is one of my favorite places to go. I love brisket. I don't like rodeos."
I just like Connery is just the epitome of cool. Like he's just like, look, man, I know what's gonna happen here.
Working with him, what I've learned this month is working with him for all these guys was a magical experience.
Oh yeah.
Not anybody has said, "Oh, he's a grump. He's a jerk."
No.
He seems to be extremely generous with his time and his stories and his advice.
Yeah.
And he just seems to be a fun guy to work with. And, the fact that he went and did Time Bandits in the morning and came back and did Outland in the afternoon, the guy's just a pro.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And he also, he's a guy, too, that seems to love being an actor and being in Hollywood. He never seemed to bitch about,
Yeah.
the work he did. Look, there's some
these
movies he
long
wasn't.
days and whatever. Yeah.
No, he was just a consummate professional and a champion of the industry, and really just a bona fide movie star and actor, which is really rare. And the thing about him in his later years is his acting overshadowed his movie stardom.
Yeah.
And it's funny that it took 40 years
Yeah.
to shake the James Bond label,
It
but
did.
he did.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
There were a ton of other people in The Untouchables. I'm just going to touch on a few of them. Richard Bradford as Police Chief Mike Dorset, the corrupt police chief. Bradford is another athlete that turned to acting as a backup.
Jimmy, Jimmy, I just don't want to see another friend of mine die, Jimmy. Somebody that I know. You better watch out, Jimmy. Get yourself out of town for a while, Jimmy.
He's most well known for playing the lead in the British spy show Man in a Suitcase, appearing in 30 episodes in 1967.
I'm the man in the suitcase. I'm really little. They put me in a suitcase, and they take me everywhere, and I do spy things.
In 1986, the Smiths use a photograph of Bradford on the cover of their single Panic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's like a younger picture of him.
Yeah.
Because, holy moly, he was a handsome dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, he died in March of 2016 at the age of 81.
That's not bad, but that's still young.
Yeah. Jack Kehoe was cast as Walter Payne.
I love the name Jack Kehoe.
Jack Kehoe.
That's also the name of one of the dirty cops in 48 Hours was Jack Kehoe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Character name. I wonder if they named it after him.
That's very possible. Kehoe had a long career, including several crime dramas like Serpico in 1973, The Sting in 1973, and The Pope of Greenwich Village in 1984.
Oh, God, he was so good at all of those.
Yeah. He also appeared in Car Wash in 1976 and Midnight Run in 1988.
In Midnight Run, he was the guy who was always like, I got to go out and get I got to go get some cigarettes or something.
Yeah.
And then he'd go and he would call he was like the mole in the bounty hunting.
Right. He was the one giving off the, yeah.
Right. Wasn't Joey Pants the guy that was that
Yeah.
ran the thing?
Yes.
And then Jack Kehoe was like
Jack
his
Kehoe
assistant.
was- yeah,
I'll be
yeah.
right back. I'm going to go get some cigarettes.
Gotta get a smoke.
You want some coffee? I'm going to go get some coffee.
His last film was in David Fincher's The Game in 1997, starring Michael Douglas, before he decided to retire.
He was good.
He's so good. I love The Game.
The Game is an underrated movie.
It's one of my favorite David Fincher movies.
Yeah. It's so well done, and it's just so twisty and turny,
Yeah.
and one of the best Michael Douglas performances ever. And Sean Penn is so good in it. And
So good. It's so good.
I think it suffered because it came out after 7, and people were really expecting another like serial killer or something.
Yeah,
with him.
yeah. It was so good. And Michael Douglas is so good in that movie.
Oh yeah.
He died in August of 2020 at the age of 85.
Oh.
He
I mean,
had a good 23 years of being retired. I mean, good for him. Billy Drago was cast as Frank Nitti.
He squealed like a stuck pig. What? Your friend? He squealed like a pig when I shot him.
That was the most emotion that Kevin Costner showed in that movie when he goes, okay, and then he just runs him off.
What are you doing?
Wait, where's Nitti at? He's in the car.
He's in the car.
That's a nice family you got there. Be a shame if anything happened to him.
Drago usually played villains in the movies, gaining acclaim for Clint Eastwood's Pale Rider in 1985.
Also has one of the coolest names of any character actor ever.
Yeah. Well, it's a stage name.
What?
I know. His last name is Burroughs. He also had recurring roles in the television series The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. in Charmed.
He was on like Magnum and stuff. He was really a good
He did,
heavy.
yeah. He was always he would pop up everywhere.
Yeah, and he was really good on Supernatural.
Oh yeah.
He had a small role in that for a while, but he just one of those guys who was so creepy.
He had a very distinctive face.
And sound and look. And look, guy was never going to be playing a surgeon or a good guy, but he really nailed.
He just ate up being the bad guy,
and he was good at it too.
My God.
Oh, Billy Drago.
I also really love The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. It's one of those I caught on or started watching long after it had been canceled.
Yeah.
But it's so good.
Yeah, if you would have watched it while it was on,
I
maybe
know,
it would have
I
lasted a
know.
little longer.
Drago died from complications following a stroke in Los Angeles on June 24th, 2019, at the age of 73.
Oh, it's weird to think of him as an old man, though.
Yeah, it is. It is. Brad Sullivan was cast as George. Along with his part in The Untouchables, Sullivan is best known for playing the killer Cole in The Sting, hockey goon Mo Wanchuk in Slapshot, and the gruff Henry Wingo in The Prince of Tides.
Henry Wingo. Oh, Slapshot is such a good movie.
Yeah.
With Paul Newman. That's him, right?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's Slapshot.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I distinctly remember Paul Newman in Ice Skates.
Yeah, guys, what are you talking about? I was in Slapshot.
Brad Sullivan died on December 31st, 2008 from cancer at the age of 77.
Oh.
Yeah.
He is such a weird voice. He was the guy, I'll tell you what you want to know, I'll tell you what you want to know.
The fantastic scene. And again, brilliant. Malone grabs the dead guy,
All right,
but they don't know he's dead. So he just sticks the gun in his mouth.
Give you to the count of 5 to tell me what I want to know. 1, 2, bang. I'll tell you what I want to know. I'll tell you what I want to know. Whatever you want to know, just tell me what I want to know.
So great.
Oh, he was good, Brad Sullivan.
Patricia Clarkson was cast as Catherine S., Elliot's wife. She made her feature film debut in The Untouchables.
Oh, she was so good.
She's still great.
Well, she looks exactly the same, too.
Yeah.
But she was so perfectly cast. She was ethereal in that movie. She looks like a 1930s starlet.
Yes.
She looks like, Clara Barrow, or is that Clara Bow? Is that
Clara Bow. Yeah.
Or, Ara. Any of those. She just has this
that look. Yeah.
just this angelic quality to her that is like everything worth fighting for is right there in her face.
Yeah, I really wish that they had her in the movie more. Like I thought she was in a lot more scenes, but she was only in a few.
That's how good she was.
But she was so good, yeah. She has a really long career, earning an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress for Pieces of April in 2003, losing to Renee Zellweger for Cold Mountain.
Barf. She was so effing good in Pieces of April as the mom who had a double mastectomy. And was growing. I mean, it was such a complex and layered part, and I'm sorry, but...
I'm not a Renee Zellweger fan. So
Well, I mean, look, she's fine, but...
Patricia Clarkson will be seen in the upcoming film Lily, playing women's equality activist Lily Ledbetter.
That's awesome. She was also amazing in Parks and Rec as one of the Tammies.
Yes.
And the way that she controlled...
she's so good in everything. Oh.
But her and Nick Offerman, the trio of her, Nick Offerman, and Megan Mullally.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to watch that again. But yeah.
So good.
Everything that Patricia Clarkson is in she's another one.
Yeah.
Never gives a bad performance.
And we'll definitely cover more of her once we find a movie that she has a bigger part in.
She's beautiful and timeless and has just maintained a really respectable career for the last 30 years. And that's not easy to do.
Yeah. So The Untouchables was mostly shot on location in Chicago, including Chicago Union Station, where you can still walk down the infamous baby carriage shootout stairs.
Yeah. Look, if Johnny Indeciso, but she would just walk down there at the beginning
if he had
and helped her up. Instead of, should I or shouldn't I? It's just like, oh, come on, dude.
And the fact that the baby carriage gets shot twice, it's like, oh, they're murdering babies now.
I love the baby's reaction. It was like, ooh. It's like it went through its diaper. It was like, oh, what was that?
De Palma originally wanted to film the stair sequence on a train, but the studio refused to find a 1930s train, citing budgetary constraints.
Yeah, but those 1920s trains had huge staircases to the platform.
Yes, and it was his homage to the Odessa sequence. Not the Odessa sequence, the stairs.
Battleship Potemkin.
Yeah, Battleship
the stairs.
Potemkin.
If you haven't seen Battleship Potemkin, which is a Russian film, directed by the brilliant Sergei Eisenstein from Russia.
Yeah. It was, 1920-something? 1920s?
1926. It was released in New York on December 5th.
Oh, wow.
I'm not reading that right now.
No,
I know it in my brain.
pulled that out of your brain.
Exactly. But brilliant film. Sergei Eisenstein is one of the pioneers of filmmaking. Like,
yes.
His POV, his...
Well, he essentially introduced the viewer associating two images together.
Right.
You show a gun, you show a close-up of a person's face, you assume the gun's pointed at the person.
Right.
That was Eisenstein.
Yes. And also, like, reaction shots, POV shots. He really helped define modern cinema.
He expanded the tools so well. Yeah.
And if you want to see a really amazing example of Russian cinema and what the masters were doing at the time in the 1920s, because Russia had quite a robust film business.
Industry,
because it wasn't really business.
Really not a business.
It was government run. But yeah, I mean, a really great movie.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's really interesting. And the stairs sequence in Battleship Potemkin is really long.
It's very long, but it's also like
It's brilliant. I mean, it's absolutely brilliant.
And you will see that De Palma literally ripped off shot for shot much of that. Even the baby carriage and everything, that's from...
So the score was composed by Ennio Morricone. Morricone sold well over 70 million records worldwide during his career that spanned over 7 decades, including 6.5 million albums and singles in France, over 3 million in the United States, and more than 2 million albums in South Korea. Morricone would receive an Academy Award nomination for The Untouchables, but would lose to The Last Emperor.
Ugh, whatever. I think people like... You know what really bothers me? You know what really grinds my gears? But you know what bothers me about the best soundtrack Oscar is... I think you need to take into account how it fits into the film and how it drives the film. And that is the score in The Untouchables is an engine.
Yeah.
Bum, and it really sets the tone. And without that, it's not the same movie.
No, I agree. Agreed.
And as wonderful and boisterous as the Last Emperor soundtrack is, it's not that.
Right. I know.
In my opinion.
It would be Morricone's third nomination after Days of Heaven in 1979 and The Mission in 1987, losing both.
Hey, what a guy! You making me lose, eh?
He would be nominated 2 more times for Bugsy in 1992 and Melania in 2001. Again, losing both before getting an honorary Oscar in 2017.
Hey, you sticking that Oscar up, you fool, because I don't care, eh? It's one of them also runs. You give it to me for the movie. I don't want one of your pity Oscars. Hey, it's a piece of the crap. It's a piece of the crepe.
Funny is that Morricone essentially did that because he won... He actually won the next year for The Hateful Eight.
Hey, after you all, eh? You don't need your pity, Oscar. I win it myself. I'm 1,000,000 years old. I win it myself. Hey, thank you.
I just love that we finally have someone winning an Oscar after the honorary Oscar being like, you know what?
Grazie. F for you, eh? F for you. Academy, F for you. Hey, you take this Oscar, the one you give me for pity, and you put it up in your pooper shoot, eh? Put it up in your pooper shoot.
I just can't believe that he never got nominated for, like... all his like spaghetti westerns he did. Like they're like iconic scores.
Yes, but they also weren't respected movies at the time.
That's so
unfortunately
stupid. Well, the Academy's dumb.
Adam, I think we determined that. You know my feelings.
I'm going to keep saying it.
I am not a fan of the Academy Awards.
In fact, just to show how dumb it is, in addition to Connery's nomination and win and Morricone's nomination, The Untouchables would receive Academy Award nominations for Best Art Direction and Best Costume Design, again, both losing to The Last Emperor.
I get it. The Last Emperor, if they're going to lose to somebody, I get it. Because that, again, is a historical epic, and it's the costumes are so incredibly colorful and
elaborate.
But this was so right on the money. I mean,
I know.
That, to me, again, is something just like the music adding to the story. The level of detail in a period piece is a make or break. And this was down to the actual shaving stuff from Capone. You know, it's like you down to the nittiest grittiest.
Down to De Niro wearing silk underwear.
You got to get them silk panties.
Also, I don't recall any time during The Last Emperor where you said, hey, I want something in that movie, like you did with The Untouchables in Kevin Costner's jacket when he's sitting on that horse.
Oh, yeah. Well, because Armani, baby.
Yeah.
He did a great job.
Yeah.
Hey.
The Untouchables would make $76.2 million in North America and $106.2 million worldwide.
Seems low.
The movie, the movie received mostly positive reviews from the critics. Vincent Canby of the New York Times gave the film a positive review, calling it
a smashing work
and saying it was
vulgar, violent, funny, and sometimes breathtakingly beautiful.
That is a perfect encapsulation of that
movie. Way to go, Vincent Canby. No wonder you won the Pulitzer Prize for criticism. I don't know, didn't he?
I'm sure he did.
I don't even know if there is, but there is one, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's something.
Oh, yeah. No, there is, because I know Ebert's won it.
That seems really dumb.
Yeah, well, I actually didn't. I didn't.
Not that he won it. I just think it's weird, like film critic.
Sure.
I don't know. I guess okay.
Richard Schickel of Time magazine wrote,
Merriman's elegantly efficient script does not waste a word, and De Palma does not waste a shot. The result is a densely layered work, moving with confident, compulsive energy.
Time magazine also named it one of the best films of 1987.
They're right.
Yeah. Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times praised the film for its action sequences and locations, but disapproved of David Mamet's script and Brian De Palma's direction. Ebert singled out the film's depiction of Al Capone as
arrogant and childish to the point of misbehaving in public and in court is the biggest disappointment of the film.
While giving praise to Sean Connery's work.
It's a fable, buddy. You didn't get it. It is not a... Look, yes, but it is extremely satisfying in the end to watch the comeuppance, you know?
Yeah, it's a good versus evil. Yeah, I mean, what...
My favorite part, though, at the end, which is... It's like... Kevin Costner comes in there and he's like,
never stop fighting.
what?
Never stop fighting until the fighting's over. What? What are you saying? What are you saying? Never stop fighting until the fight is over. There endeth the lesson.
I can't hear what you're saying. What are you saying? You're not the middle of talking to beach.
There's so many people here.
Everybody's yelling at me and you're so quiet. You're not the middle of talking to beach. You're quiet talking to beach.
The film is very liberal with the based on true story details being highly inaccurate, and I'll just go through a few of these just because some of them are interesting.
Sure.
The raid at the Canada-United States border never happened.
Of course.
Neither did the courthouse or railway station shootouts.
Right.
Surprise! Ness did not kill Frank Nitti. He actually took over the organization for Capone, who died shortly after being imprisoned.
From syphilis.
From the syphilis. Nitti died in 1943, 12 years after the Capone trial, by suicide the day before Nitti himself was scheduled to be in court.
Coward.
Essentially, his higher-ups, like, they were all getting indicted the next day, and his higher-ups were essentially like, we're putting this all on you, so he killed himself. Yeah.
There you go.
In reality, Ness's unit had very little to do with Capone's final tax evasion conviction, which was orchestrated by U.S. Attorney George E.Q. Johnson and IRS agent Frank J. Wilson, who inspired the character of Oscar Wallace, but was never part of the Untouchables.
Okay.
The scene where Al Capone beats a lieutenant to death with a baseball bat is based on an urban legend, albeit one that historians doubt actually happened.
Oh.
After discovering that John Scalise, Albert Anselmi, and Joseph Guinta were planning to betray him, Capone reportedly invited the trio to a dinner party and then beat them all to death.
Enthusiasms.
Yeah.
Enthusiasms.
I just love the fact that in real life, if it happened, it was three
It's
guys,
three guys.
not one. A side-scrolling video game, The Untouchables, was released by Ocean Software in 1989 on multiple platforms. The game plays out some of the more significant parts of the film. Set in Chicago, the primary goal of the game is to take down Al Capone's henchmen and eventually detain Capone.
I remember playing this game.
I kind of do.
Ba-da-dum-bum-bum.
Yeah. It was reported on July 2nd, 2004, that Anton Fuqua would direct an Untouchables spin-off titled The Untouchables Mother's Day, which was later changed to Capone Rising.
Okay.
Yeah. The film script focused on the rise of Chicago mob kingpin Capone in the years before the encounter with Ness and his lawman. In June of the following year, original director Brian De Palma replaced Fuqua on the film. According to De Palma, the film went into development several times with Nicolas Cage, Gerard Butler, and Benicio del Toro all attached to play Capone at different stages, but nothing has ever happened.
In the original Mother's Day, there was a sequence where he's like, there, get you a Mother's Day card. You get them a Father's Day card. That's the Chicago way. They put one of yours in the hospital. You put one of theirs in the morgue.
You know what's funny? The whole, they pull a knife, you pull a gun. You know it's from George C. Scott movie?
Yeah.
They ripped it off the Centurions.
Just like a wop.
Yeah. Oh,
Brings a knife to a gunfight.
please don't say that.
Well, that's what he said.
Yeah.
That dirty wop. They used a lot of whopping.
Yeah.
That was great when he met Andy Garcia's character for the first time. It was such a...
That whole sequence is fantastic.
Well, the movie rolls and it keeps going
Yeah.
and it doesn't stop. And it is so well told. And getting the guys together is so organic. I love how Charles Martin Smith just kind of pops up and
Yeah.
he's just kind of there.
He's like, what are you doing in my office?
Yeah, and then as soon as they give him a shotgun, he brings him to life. And he's such a fun character.
Oh.
When Andy Garcia gets shot, he's like, and he's
Yeah.
shooting everybody, and then he goes
He's
after him
so
with the gun,
good.
has the drink. I mean, that's those little character moments that we have with these guys that
Yeah.
make us fall in love with them.
Yeah.
And they have an affection for each other, and they're part of this group that is isolated from everybody because nobody wants them to succeed.
Right.
The cops don't want them to succeed.
No,
The
no.
government doesn't want them to succeed.
Everybody's against him.
Capone definitely doesn't
No.
want us to succeed. And it's just really fun to watch them all get together. And the whole sequence when, well, if you want to get, you have to go to the tree instead of the barrel, which is so smart
Right.
before they're
Right.
corrupted. And he finds the guy that shoots good, and he's got, he's like, just like a dirty wop. And then he's like, pulls the gun on him. He's like, oh, I like him.
Yeah.
And then Garcia's reaction is just like,
Oh God, yeah, he goads him so hard, and it's so brilliant. though.
Garcia is so good at that
Yes.
slow burn.
Yeah.
He is another silent actor that says so much with his eyes.
Yes.
And everybody in this movie just nails their parts so perfectly.
Very, very good casting,
And-
and very talented actors.
And very different characters, which that is what makes something like this even more colorful, right?
Right.
Because you've got the grizzled old cop who's been walking the beat for 50 years because he doesn't play by the rules.
Right.
And you have the earnest, family man who wants to, the do-gooder, the Dudley Do-Right,
Yeah.
who has to learn,
The natural leader that brings
Exactly.
them all together. Yeah.
but also has to learn that his
Right.
way of leading isn't going to get him where they want to go.
Everybody in that group is important. You know,
You got the secret hothead, hotshot accountant, and Andy Garcia, just this loyal, earnest.
young, very eager.
Yeah.
Wants to be a cop so bad.
So he and Ness are so much alike,
Yeah.
But it's funny that his mentor, just like all of them, is Sean Connery. It's a really great scene. It's silly, but it's a great scene where they're all in the cabin and they're waiting for the shipment to come, and
Yeah.
when they're with the Canadians, and they're in this little cabin, and they're all doing their thing, and then Connery gets up and he's like, "Look, he's got a little something for everyone.
Yeah.
All right, don't be too impatient. They'll get here when they get here. Have you checked your gun?
No, he was checking the gun.
Yeah.
He's like, oh,
So you've checked your gun? Now put it away."
yeah. He's like, stop playing with it.
And then Charles Marley, "Now, as a beat cop, you learn, stomp your feet. That'll keep you from getting cold. You learn something walking the beat. And you, eat your carrots. And over here." It's just like, he's never, even when he's dying, he's like,
Yeah, I love that. He's like, oh, you want your St. Jude medal? No.
"How far are you willing to go?" It's just like, easy, dude. I'm
God,
willing to go pretty far.
That is one of the greatest death scenes ever because he gets shot like 15 times.
Yeah.
With a machine gun.
More than that.
And still crawls his way in and is still alive after they run. They did. I was reading where he was
Yeah.
on 1647 Racine or whatever,
Yeah.
and where the Chicago Union Station is. It would take about 4 minutes by foot to get there. And so it was almost done in real time. But it's
That's
like,
awesome.
it's just crazy that he's still alive.
Great death scene. It's just, and again, Charles Martin Smith, such a great death scene. The look
Yeah.
on his face, he's like, I mean, I felt it. I felt
Yeah.
that fear, that just like, what's coming. And it's just, again, it's one of those miracles that very rarely happens in cinema where all of the parts come together perfectly, and
Yeah.
there's not a
Yeah.
stink in the bunch. There's not
No.
one stinky actor, one stinky shot,
No.
stinky music. Everything absolutely perfectly runs together like a perfect machine to
Right.
create this absolutely entertaining spectacle. And that's what it is. It's a
Yes.
freaking movie, right?
It is.
It is a movie.
It is. You go, you eat your popcorn, you watch the good guys win.
This is the greatest example of Hollywood movies when they
Yeah.
go right.
Yes.
When a big budget movie with a bunch of great stars and a great director and a great writer and a amazing composer
Yeah.
all come together and they do their best work and they create something that's going to last forever. And this movie
Timeless,
is that.
yeah. It is a perfect movie.
Perfect.
100%. I could not imagine anything I would want to change.
No, and if you haven't, by some weird stretch of the world, seen this movie, watch it. No caveats, no
even if-
drinks, no nothing.
If you've
Unless-
seen this movie, watch it again.
yes, if you haven't seen it in a while, you're going to be surprised. And again, watching a lot of these movies that I haven't seen for a long time.
Yeah.
After years of watching a lot of stuff that's been coming out,
Right.
it only strengthens how great this movie
Oh,
is.
yeah.
I don't think that it could be made today the way it was made then.
It
I
would
think
it would have too much interference.
it would be like the Hat Squad or whatever
Yeah.
the Public Enemies. It would be
Public
like
Enemies, yeah, which was overwrought and yeah.
flawed because it this is simple, basic. It didn't overcomplicate it. There's no backstories to anybody except for you get a little bit with Costner, with his family and stuff. You don't know where the hell Connery came from or who his family is.
No,
you don't know
no.
Charles Martin Smith or any of these guys. There's really no character development in terms of like...
Yeah, you don't see anything about their private life.
Because you don't need it.
You don't need it. Yeah.
All that matters is how these guys react with each other and how they work their jobs.
Right.
The same thing with De Niro. And it just... The fact that these characters are so well defined and so well acted, you don't need it because you see it. It comes organically.
But this is the brilliant writing, because you get Andy Garcia's character, who the only information we get about him is that he changed his name because he wanted to be a cop and he didn't want people to think he was an Italian mobster.
Right.
And that's all you need. Like, that is it. Charles Foster Kane again. Charles Martin Smith. The moment for him, for his backstory, is when they hand him that gun and he's like, ooh.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you just told me everything you need to know about you as a person.
Exactly.
It was brilliant.
Yeah, it just works so well. And even though a bunch of it's ripped off from other directors and all that stuff, doesn't matter.
Ripped off in the most lovingly way.
And also ripped off and done well.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, it is a direct... take on Battleship Potemkin, but it's its own thing too.
Whatever.
It's like everything has been done before.
You find me 5 people that have seen Battleship Potemkin.
I know. Anybody who didn't go to film school doesn't know Battleship Potemkin.
No.
You should, but that's fine. It's a 1925 film. I don't think a lot of people are.
It's not something you're going to seek out. It's worth one watch.
Definitely, but again, just watching this again. I don't want to sound like old man or, nostalgia Jimbo, but I just don't think they make them like that.
It really is a bunch of, like we were talking about when we were watching the movie, like Brian De Palma, when he's unrestrained, gets messy.
Oh, yeah.
Gets so messy.
Distracted.
And David Mamet writes really tight scripts and is like, this is how the beats need to be.
Yeah.
And that is when De Palma is at his best.
Well... Mamet is a lyrical writer. There is a rhythm and a music to his dialogue. That's why actors love doing Mamet.
Right.
Because there's a definite way to do it, and you have to do it that way. And it rolls and it moves and it's jazz,
Yeah.
It's jazz.
It's jazz, man.
It's jazz, man. It's jazz. So pretentious. But it's true. I mean, he really, he nails it, and he also nails that kind of like crisp, fast dialogue that's also believable. The guy is he's a wackadoo, but he's an amazing writer.
Yeah.
And from The Spanish Prisoner to Glengarry Glen Ross to any other thing that he's written, there is just his style is like no other. And what's crazy about this movie is there's no swearing.
Yeah,
and one of Mamet's signatures is the F
swearing.
word.
Yeah.
He loves using language, but he does it in a very poetic and beautiful way. He can turn horrible, nasty words. Into
it's
flowers.
poetry. Yeah.
That's great. I mean,
all right. Well, that's all for our Sean Connery month. We'll be back next week with our Stepdad show.
It's gonna be sad.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
It's been a really fun month, but we'll talk about that more next week.
Yes.
It'll be fun. But then the month after, super excited.
June Doom 3, Revenge of the Doom.
We're actually going to be doing some 90s June Doom movies.
Yeah, the world's going to end again in June, just like it does every year with us. But I hope that you guys watch all of these movies because I enjoyed all of them this month.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
We were worried.
All really good.
It's funny because we hadn't seen a lot of these movies. We were worried about a few of them. And you just gotta, one thing I learned this month, baby, you just gotta trust Sean Connery because he'll never let you down, ever. And if he does, he'll give you a smack. Smackety smack.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just have to be kind of like Fozzie Bear with a bit of a lisp.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, there we go. Brian De Palma.
Can't read your own handwriting.
Pragatat.
Pragatat. It's my favorite movie.
Oh, and even like Dragonheart, was
Dragonheart,
kind of,
yeah.
Where's the dragon?
Yeah.
Teach you how to be a knight. But yeah, everything
I
was
prefer
him.
the sequel, Pragatat.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. Dallas, already in progress.